gas station coworker quits on my first day. So I try to give away unlimited gas for free so I can go home. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell for notifications. This was back in, I want to say around 2005, before the proliferation of smartphones and things like that. It's about the time I worked at a gas station / convenience store for one whole day and ended up as a manager and a district manager's worst nightmare. I'd taken the job not 2 days before and was told to show up at 7 a.m. on a Monday for training. No big deal, right? The manager certainly seemed stable enough at the time, but I suppose that's what they say about all the crazies. So I show up at 7 a.m., bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to get to work. I'm immediately introduced to the young lady who's been tasked with training me by the manager. The manager spends the first 20 minutes of my shift not training me, but ranting and rambling about how she just worked a double graveyard and how she's bushed, and how this place just sucks her dry. You get the general idea. Then she reiterates that young lady's going to be with me all day, training me step by step, and is then gone in a puff of smoke. Gone home to get some much-deserved sleep. Leaves her home number on a scrap of paper behind the counter in case of emergencies only. Sensible enough. So we get down to business. Young lady's shocked that I'm already somewhat registering computer literate, and so takes the opportunity to abandon me in the back room, doing a few hours of computer training that I gather is supposed to encompass the entirety of my day. When I finish my computer training, I step out into the main store area to be relieved of duty. Young lady instead informs me that we're now going to do some hands-on training. Weird, but fine, I guess. I mean, I'm not gonna scoff at a few extra hours on my paycheck, so whatever, let's do some hands-on work. The hands-on work goes on for about an hour and a half, bringing my day to about 4.5 hours at that point, until a young lady pulls me aside and announces with a beaming grin on her face, "You know what, I think screw this place." Screw this place? Yeah, man, screw it. It's bull anyway. Screw everything. I quit. Like in 2 weeks? Like now. What? With that, she tears off her smock, lights a cigarette, and walks out of the place, leaving me to mind the store alone. I don't know how to do cash drops, and I don't know how to do most of anything. I've been there 4 hours tops. You've gotta be kidding me. Young lady locks the door to the back room, shoves the key underneath the door, and is gone forever. So I, like the nice young man I am, call the manager's emergency number. The phone rings and rings and rings for maybe 2 minutes straight before she finally answers. Mid-snore with the befuddled, I promptly explain the situation to her and tell her that I need help. She tells me to hold tight and that she's gonna call her assistant manager to come and help. You know where this is going. The assistant manager never comes. I'm waiting for another 2 hours and they never show up. I call the manager back. Same deal. 2 minutes of continuous ringing. She promises something else and hangs up on me. We go through this process 4 more times over the course of 2 more hours, when the next person on shift is due to show up anyway. He never shows. Naturally. So I call the manager until she finally just takes her phone off the hook so I can't call her anymore. This is the part of the story where I start to freak out. I have no other numbers. I know no one else who works here. I'm alone. No way to clock out. No way to hide. No way to lock the doors. Nothing. Just work. Only work. Forever and ever and ever and ever. I can see that this is how I die. I'm sure of it. I'm in a really crappy, boring version of Final Destination. At this point, I feel the need to call out to dudes who ran a tattoo shop across the street. They'd been coming in for cokes and energy drinks and such throughout the day, and had taken a keen interest in my well-being. They were pretty up on the situation and kept me reasonably calm throughout the day. They noticed that I was starting to freak out, asked me what the situation was, and I explained. Just like that, these guys jump into action. They bring me their phone book with all the numbers of the other stores in the area circled, and they go to the local taco cart and get me a plate of tacos and a Coke to keep my strength up. I'm not into dudes, but I considered asking these guys to marry me then and there. Fueled by tacos and sheer unadulterated panic, I start making calls. Other stores are shocked by what's happened, but don't have anyone to spare. They've got no one. What? One of them gives me the district manager's home number. Bingo. I explained the situation to him and listened as he went from perfectly congenial to absolutely terrified. He tells me, I'm coming down there personally silly to relieve you from your shift. But then he says the perfect combination of words to set me off, but I'm gonna need about an hour and a half. Is that okay? Welcome to my breaking point. I begin to shout and shout and shout. No, it's not all right. I'll tell you what, district manager, either you get down here in half an hour, or I'm gonna open all the cash registers, the safe, turn the pumps on unlimited run, and go home. Is that what you want? Free gas and free money for everyone who comes into the store until there's no money left? Is that what you want? I'll be there in 20 minutes. I now see what has happened. I've officially been taken hostage by this store, and have taken it hostage in return. I'm now the crazy person in the situation. I'm the movie bad guy. I'm the one making demands. But you know what? He got there in 15 minutes flat. And you know what else? He was very nice, all said and done. He apologized profusely, even helped me actually kick in the locked bathroom doors so I could clock out properly. It's 10:30 p.m. at that point. Finally. But then, the manager, in her pajamas, eyes bloodshot and wild, murderous and back from the dead like the last bad guy in Die Hard, comes storming into the store, screaming at the district manager who had apparently gotten her to answer her phone during his trip over. District manager, how dare you tell me how to run my store? I swear to God, you've been telling me what to do for too long now, and I'm telling you for the last time. DM turns to me as the manager is shrieking, and he says something that makes me start laughing like a psychopath. Go home, original poster, I've got this. Heck, you don't have to tell me twice, amigo. I'm gone. When I get to the door, finally, he calls after me and says, I really hope this doesn't affect your future with the company. I never went back. Yeah, no, I don't blame you. That's a pretty crazy first day. If that's the standard that they're working by, I wouldn't want to work there either. I understand the managers had a hard time, but this is an emergency situation. You can't leave someone who's only been there for 4 hours total to run the entire place by themselves. That's unreasonable for just about any situation. To be perfectly honest, this could have been a lot worse. Our original poster made some idle threats. Another person might have actually followed through with those. Not to mention the things that can go wrong just from their ignorance. They don't know any better. They don't know what they're doing. They could very easily make a very critical mistake. And at that point, there's no one to blame but the manager. She's aware of the situation and chooses to stay home in bed instead. Kieran doesn't seem to understand what a no parking zone is. So I ended up ruining someone's day a while back all over a little sign that reads, no parking loading zone Monday to Friday. I was delivering to a larger mixed retail strip mall in Toronto suburb. The place doesn't have a rear delivery area, so by design there's blocked off areas in the side of the complex to allow delivery vehicles, garbage, and couriers access to unload during the day. The place also has a medical center next door. That medical center charges for parking. The strip mall doesn't. So enterprising cheap people will park and walk over, even though a multitude of signs prohibiting the practice are plastered all over the lot. So the complication is that the loading areas closest to the medical arts building has parking lines laid down, but is signed no parking loading zone 8 to 17 Monday to Friday. Dozens of cube trucks use this lot daily for their needs. However, it's not often that a full-size me has to use it. I need every inch of that lot to position properly, so that I can get the freight off and be on my merry way. Often I'll arrive and there's a single car or two occupying a space. They're a bother but can be negotiated around easily. On this morning, I roll into the lot when a full-sized Escalade pulls in behind me and parks right beside the loading ramp and one spot that absolutely ruins my approach. There's literally 50 spots in the loading zone to choose and like 500 spots in the actual parking lot. I roll down my window and motion that I need to use the ramp. Now, most self-aware, self-conscious people would get the hint. Nope, Miss Self-Important decided that she's parked. Y'all can deal. She unloads her booger eaters into the stroller and obviously ignores me as I'm protesting her parking choice. My parting shot? Great example you're setting for your kids, lady. Earn me some shade and a casual obscured middle finger salute. Fine then, I have nothing but time on my hands. Rushing around and in a hurry, I can solve that for you. I call the towing number on the sign and they say that they're less than an hour out. I then called my store contact who spotted my reversing. He also called the towing company to complain. With an extra pair of eyes, I placed my truck inches from her back bumper, snapped a couple cell pics for liability coverage, and started unloading. After some eye rolls from the garbage truck driver, the empty bin miraculously managed to end up blocking her only path of escape after my tight squeeze parking. Oh crap, she's hemmed in now. So I got a crew of guys helping me unload, and we're all anxious knowing that it's about to hit the fan. Finally, the fruits of our labor ripen. The tow truck arrives, looks at the situation we've created, and does nothing but laugh. He's snapping pictures of the mess. He dollies the wheels of the Escalades and slides it perfectly out and onto his flatbed. 10 minutes and he's gone. Security arrived during the tow out and remained. Sure enough, 90 minutes after leaving, Miss Self-Important is returning from the medical center with Rugrats in tow. She goes from zero to righteous nuclear indignation in an instant. Demands to know where her car is. One of the guys unloading me hollers, "Oh, the one blocking the ramp? It's towed." Her phone is out in an instant, videoing us and claiming harassment, theft, and damages. She's on the phone with 911 in a flash, accusing us of stealing her car. Security quickly intervened and, in the most professionally condescending tone possible, explains the signs, the tow-away loading zone, and the contact for the company who towed it. The region's finest in blue show up and take over. I give a quick statement and the officer basically says, civil matter. She ends up relenting, defeated, and a taxi is called. I just wrap up unloading my truck under her murderous stare. So I'm rolling out and on my way, and I get a text from my dispatcher. "So you're stealing people's cars now?" "Sorry, Karen, you brought this one on yourself. They tried to warn you. You're just too wrapped up in your own business to give a crap. You know, as much as you've got places to be and are in a hurry, so is this guy. And you could literally have parked anywhere in the lot. You happen to choose the one spot that's really gonna give him a hard time. Most people would understand and simply move their car, but not this one. So, I'm sorry, but you deserve everything that you had coming to you. Have fun paying to get your car back." My cousin's boss made her life miserable, so my aunt got a job at the same place to get her boss fired. My auntie is a great woman. A little crazy, but great. About 15 years ago, my cousin got her first job in a warehouse. She loved it. My cousin, Danny, isn't like the rest of my family. We are all kind of jerks, but she's really quiet and sensitive. She was fine in her job for 2 weeks, and then a woman who was at least 20 years older than her started bullying her. She started giving Danny a huge chunk of her workload and telling her to get it done because bosses say so and crap talking her. Danny came home every day crying because she made her life miserable, but still she stuck it out because we're fighters. My auntie hated this, but she did love getting her own back. The next week, Danny goes to work and has to meet the new workers in orientation. My auntie is stood at the front of them smiling at her and waving. She applied for a job at the same place to look after her until the woman left. Her plans started the next day. After having worked in warehouses before, she got the hang of it and was very efficient. She also made a point to get her work finished quickly so she could take on others' work, mainly the jerks. After doing this for a week and talking to the managers in the smoking area about the work, my auntie says that jerk has just been standing around with no work, and that others have noticed too and aren't happy. The managers must have kept an eye on her, as she was in a meeting a few days later. This ticked her off, and she was venting to a lot of people. My auntie used this as an opportunity to go to the manager and say that the jerk had been abusive and threatening about the warning to her. The jerk was then called into another meeting and fired a week before her holiday month-long cruise. One of the managers my auntie befriended, and has been a very close family friend since. She's known as Auntie Debbie in the family now. She still knows the jerk, and said that she was horrible to work with and she had many warnings for hostile work environment type things. Jerk is now divorced, overweight, and bitter, who keeps asking Auntie Debbie to make her birthday cakes for family members for £5. Yeah, some people will really defend their family. They don't give a crap who you are. If they feel that you're slighting someone who's close to them, they will make sure they take you down. Given this was the cousin's first job, maybe she wasn't being bullied as much as she thought she was, but rather was just being asked to do what she was being asked to do. I don't really know, but for the sake of the story, let's assume that it was more than it should have been. Sometimes senior employees like to do things like this. They shove work off onto the new guy so that they can kick back and relax. It's never right, and a very jerk thing to do. You're responsible for your own work. Don't go trying to pawn it off onto someone who's too naive to know any better. Entitled Karen demands we exchange her washer, but thinks that means that she gets to keep both. This happened over the span of a few weeks and was finally all over yesterday. I sell household appliances for a living. It sucks, but it's decent money. A few weeks ago, a coworker sold a lady a washer for her new house. She keeps it a few days, then calls us seeing it's making weird noises. We send our tech out and he takes a look. Nothing wrong with it. No weird noises. But we're a large corporation and try to make customers happy. happy, so we agree to swap it. The delivery crew gets there and starts taking the old one out. This is when chaos unfolds. Why are you taking my washer? That's mine, I paid for it. Yeah, but we're exchanging it for a new one. So we take the old one that you claim is broken and swap it for a new one. That wasn't a deal. I'm keeping both for the trouble you all caused me. But if you don't let me take this one, we're not bothering taking the other one off the truck. Pick one. You don't get both. I'll sue. Okay, we're leaving. The lady calls the store and she's furious. First thing she says is, I'm suing you. This is so unfair. My manager responds with, we've already talked to legal and we've been told not to make contact with you. You'll have to do everything through legal or corporate now. Sorry, have a good day. What? Why? I wasn't actually gonna sue. You said you were. That's all we needed to hear. Contact legal with the name and phone number of your lawyer. They'll get you taken care of. Thanks, bye. The lady never called a lawyer, never called the legal department. But yesterday, she sends an email saying she would really appreciate the swap now. Delivery laughs, store manager laughs, and she's not getting that washer. There is so much wrong with this lady's logic. For one, if you have a problem with it, why do you want to keep it? Two, what the heck are you going to do with two washers? Are you opening a laundromat or something? 3, have you never exchanged anything before in your life? You don't get to keep both. It's an exchange. You give us the one you have and we give you a new one. It's a very simple concept. I'm really not understanding where this lady's having a hard time, or why she thinks she's entitled to 2 washers for the price of 1. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Or if you want some vibey music to put on in the background, check out Easy Mode. If you like Am I the Jerk, give Am I the Genius a shot. Everything linked in the description.